The Next Fest coverage keeps on going, as this is going to be part number 8, featuring one part of a stream and some footage I did on my own. We are slowly but surely getting to the end, but with that said, let's get to the latest crop of indie game demos. We are starting things off with Phoenix Springs. This is a point-and-click adventure game with a very standout visual style. We have come to the town, the mysterious place known as Phoenix Springs, in search of our brother Leo. And to find him, we are going to explore, figure out what is going on, and look into lots and lots of clues and solve puzzles. The gameplay here is again classic point-and-click. The visual design here is really well done. In terms of puzzle solving, as you explore, you'll basically build up a collection of verbs and various phrases that represent different clues. And you can use these to interact with various objects, give them to people as questions, and try and figure out what you're trying to uncover in each area. Now, the look of this game definitely stands out, but it does make it a little bit hard sometimes to figure out what is actually interactable in the environment without just moving your mouse cursor all over the screen. With that said, the visual look did start to bother my head after a while with everything just like constantly moving around. And then the other thing is that I believe the demo is running with an uncapped frame rate, which I think they will fix in an updated demo, definitely by 1.0. But just keep in mind that it may make your computer a bit loud as you're trying this one out. In terms of difficulty, this appears to be maybe moderate to moderately advanced. You'll need to figure out what order to interact with things, what clues to use, of course. And this is one of those games where you'll know or you can figure out kind of what you need, but you may have to go to a specific spot and do something else with a clue in order to get the specific clue that you need to move forward. So if you're looking for a very noir and beautifully inspired adventure game, definitely check this one out. We now turn to Axon TD Uprising, a tower defense style game where our kind of unique element here is that besides setting up blockers and trying to maze the enemy creep patterns around, you're able to extend and grow the path by building kind of single segment tiles to connect to kind of these islands, which you can then set up and extend and reroute enemies as you see fit. The game from the tutorial that I played has both a kind of campaign structure, there's a co-op, and there's also kind of like a roguelite mode as well. But after each wave, you're given different rewards such as money, energy, or power that can be used to upgrade towers, and things that you can use to affect the world or the map itself. Again, being able to put down blockers, being able to extend tiles into new areas, and so on. And you'll need to do this, as the game features a robust number of enemies that each have different strengths and weaknesses. You'll deal with enemies who have shielding, some that will have armor, and so on, with the different types of towers growing as you play. Each tower can be upgraded in different ways that can change its base properties. The shotgun tower that's designed to hit multiple units can be given a perk that if it hits a single unit, it will do full damage to that one versus a weaker damage. And while this may sound overpowered, you are really going to need it in this game, as there are a lot of things that are going to be getting out there that even just having some really good tower placement may not be enough. It reminds me a little bit of when I think we played, I think it was called Refractor or Refactor. That was a kind of like tower defense roguelike, where once you kind of fall behind in terms of the enemy waves, it can become hard to catch up, since the more you kill, the more money you get, the more money you get, the more towers you can put down. I will say from a GUI standpoint, I would like maybe the enemies and their types sticking out a little bit more. It can be hard at a glance to tell what an enemy does or what is strong or weak to it. And again, this is a game of very hard counters. But with that said, this is certainly shaping up to be a very interesting tower defense, and I like the idea of kind of shaping the map or changing it beyond just putting down towers and trying to force mazes like that. But if you are looking for a tower defense game that lets you put on your, I guess, construction workers hat and do some work that way, definitely check out Axon TD Uprising. And now for something a little bit different with Froggy's Battle. This is an action roguelike where we play as a skateboarding frog who is trying to just do some skateboarding one day and all these frogs are invading his territory. So what's a frog to do but to battle them in a loop? So the main thing here is that you are going to be stuck in this one spot with the only option to go left, right, jump, and use your kind of special moves. You'll gain new weapons as you play, as well as new skateboarding tricks as well. From what I play of this one, it doesn't look like it's going to be like the most challenging or the most hardcore action roguelike, but it does a really great job with its theme and presenting a variety of challenges to you. You'll need to figure out what kind of build you want to do as early as possible and then cultivate your stats around that. You can also sometimes get rare cards that will give you kind of double stats or give you two things on the same card. So if you are in the mood for some rogueliking but with skateboards and frogs, this can be a delightful one to check out. Now up is Spellrain. This is an action roguelite that also combines some bullet heaven style gameplay. It is up to us to save the world from mysterious rain that is causing monsters to pop up and cause all kinds of trouble. And we want to do that with our magic staff and ever increasing amounts of magic power. How this one works is that killing enemies and so on will earn you kind of money or gems, which you can then take into your home base or magical camp to buy new cards or upgrade the ones that you have. Your cards are different spells, they'll come with different elemental properties, uses, and of course mana costs. Getting through the length of the wave, you'll have to deal with a boss, which if you can beat that, you'll move on to the next level. The persistent aspect comes in with using gold and materials you farm off of enemies to upgrade your base camp that can be used to unlock new cards as well as purchase or craft gear. And gear comes in various sets that will give you bonuses for equipping the entire one. This will also raise your base stats and can also be leveled up during an individual match. So this one kind of occupies in that weird middle ground between that of a VS-like and just being an action roguelite. It doesn't appear to be a game that's going to give you like a huge amount of trouble if you know what you're doing, but it was delightful enough and charming with its different spells and gameplay to make it on the list here. And now for something very different with Bulwark Falconeer Chronicles. We actually interviewed the developer of this one that should be going up in a few weeks at the time of this video going up. This is a kind of open world city builder strategy game. The very unique aspect of this one is that it is entirely driven by just two buttons, your left and right mouse keys. And how this works is you switch between kind of your survey flying vehicle and being able to move from kind of tower to tower of your city. When you kind of draw out in a direction and right click, it will create a path and then buildings are dynamically created around said path. So every city in your game is going to be entirely 100% a unique one-off. And that is a very impressive design. The more paths you have connecting towers affects the flow of goods. So if you want more goods to kind of get to your central tower or your main base, you need to kind of spread out those paths. You'll set up trade routes from resource island to resource island, and you'll use stone and metal to upgrade your various buildings and paths, allowing you to do more with them, gain access to kind of a military force, and more. Now this is a kind of tough demo to judge. It still feels a little weird to control, especially with kind of maneuvering around in 3D, but trying to make things work along like the set lines and plane. At the moment, I'm not quite sure if there is in fact a win condition in this demo. We played this for a little bit, got as far as actually watching some combat play out, and then just kind of going out and exploring. There is definitely potential here if you're a fan of city building, real-time strategy, and looking for something that is very different. But I would advise you that right now the demo is still evolving. I know developers are still working on it. So what you see in this footage may not represent the current version of the demo or the current version when the game is launched. We now have Lapsus, a time manipulation puzzle platformer. When the future is in trouble, it's up to us to kind of figure out what is going on and use our time-bending powers in order to save the day. How this game works is that for each stage you are given a number of clones that you can create. The clones will mirror your actions until the time of creation. So the challenge here is figuring out in what order do you interact with things, where do you send your various clones to, and of course how do you get to the exit portal. The game boasts a whole lot of levels with supposedly different mechanics and more that we didn't quite see in this one. Your character controls pretty nicely. You have all the standards of platforming from wall jumping to double jumping, and this one looks like it's going to be for the puzzle platformer fans. Now, I didn't really see too much of anything that I haven't already seen in like other games in terms of time manipulation, but I'm curious to see what else they have in their time-bending sleeves. We now have Lords of Exile. This is a modern retro game that when I say this, it may cause you some gamer modern retro dissonance. This is an 8-bit style Castlevania using the kind of MIDI sound chip and sound design of the Sega Genesis. We are exploring an ancient land where ghosts, samurais, and demons are trying to take over, and we're going to save the day through slash, lots of sub-weapons, and gaining more power. So the game itself is definitely giving homage to the likes of Castlevania, but with a few modern twists here and there. You have kind of a slide, and you'll gain additional powers as the game goes on, including being able to summon spirits to help you. While you do move painfully slowly, as you can see right here, the game is definitely designed to have a little bit more accommodation. For starters, there are, or it does appear to be, you have infinite lives. If you die, you'll return to the previous checkpoint. The level design, again, is set up to be kind of this classic design of finding hidden items, trying to make it through, avoiding those enemies from knocking you off ledges, and so on. And I was really getting into this. The music is fantastic. I've always been a fan of the Sega Genesis kind of like rawness to the music and sound effects in it, and this game goes hard in some places with that design. In terms of difficulty, it's kind of hard to tell the moment where it's going to go. If you are familiar with the Castlevanias, or even with the 2D Bloodstain style spin-offs, then you should be well acquainted with anything Lords of Exile will throw at you. But if you are someone who loves your modern retro action platformer and looking for another classic one, definitely check this one out. And with that, that will take care of Part 8. I swear we're almost done. We're getting close to the end, maybe a few more parts, and then we can put Next Fest 2023 behind us. You'll find links to all the games down below. If you want to see the whole stream with the other games that I play but didn't cover here, check out the Game Wisdom gameplay channel. With that said, do all the YouTubing stuff people tell you to do. Be sure to check out my game design books wherever they are sold. Visit our Discord and Patreon, and come back for daily discussions on game design here, and on Game Wisdom, where you examine the art and science of games.